It's Labor Day. 3 weeks. I'll be in the Canadian bush moose hunting. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make a 3D target. You can buy a 3D moose target. They're relatively expensive, almost the price of a good moose hunt, or at least a mount. But I'm going to show you how to make one. I've made these in the past. This will not have its head on it because I'm really, the head is irrelevant. I'll try to make it as close to anatomically correct so when I put it out in the field and practice with it, I will have something a lot bigger than your 3D deer, which stands not much more than waist high. Anybody that's going to go either up north or out west and hunting these larger specimens of animals need to practice on bigger targets than what they're practicing with in their backyard, which would be typically the 3D deer. I don't care how many bullseyes you can stand there and shoot, or how many arrows you can Robin Hood at 20, 30 yards or 40 yards in your backyard aiming at a target. You're missing one thing. Your mind has set that size of a target, and it's sort of like shooting a basketball. You know if you're in the 3-point range, you can make it because you've practiced that yardage, and it just becomes conducive in your onboard computer. Well, when a bull elk or a bull moose steps out, most people have a tendency to automatically shoot underneath of it because they assume they've practiced at smaller targets at that yardage, and so that is cemented in your mind, and you don't allow for the size of the animal, and a 40-yard moose automatically looks like a 20-yard 36-inch tall white-tailed deer. So instead of shooting it at your 40-yard range, you end up shooting it way short. That's why it's really essential when you go to hunt big game to make bigger targets. That way your mind exercises itself and it gets it programmed to visualize that size of target at that size of yardage. Small targets look even smaller farther away. Big targets look closer farther away. And that's just how you acclimate your brain. Using a range finder is essential on these targets simply because when you go out, if you're not good at estimating yardage, a big animal is hard for you to get used to. That's why it's essential to get something big enough and start practicing at it. So what we've done here is we've bought 2-inch thick R10 insulation board, and then we're going to incorporate this 2-inch piece of ethafoam into the vinyl. We'll sandwich this together, and you'll see us as we go through the steps. I think I have a total, these sheets were like $27 a piece times 3, so you got that. We're going to put them together with liquid nails. We'll glue it together, and it'll make a heck of a good durable target. Now, you're not going to be shooting it like you do your regular target, so don't worry about shooting it out. But I like the foam for if you do use expandables or something else, it hits the foam, it won't break the broadhead if you're out of the vital range. Because we're going to stretch this target out, and it's the only time I shoot 40, 50, and 60 yards. If I get a shot at a moose at 50 or 60 yards with a bow, the vital is this wide, so I know I feel comfortable shooting something that far away if it's in the open. So without any further ado, let's get this on. And what we're going to do is I sort of laid this out. Just don't have to be exact. We're just going to draw our lines here and get our basically our silhouette made. I've shot 6 bull moose in my lifetime, I know that's not a lot to compare to some people, but then it's more than other, and to be able to do that on your own with a bow, I feel pretty proud about that. So now that we've laid that out, looks like a big pink target, we'll take our saw and we'll just hand saw that out. And there's a lot of different little items you can use today, but I'll use this saw. Then I'll put it together on the other two and saw it out the same. So we'll have what looks like a huge big pink pig, as a friend of mine from White River, Wisconsin, Jeff Middlestat, said the first time I met him. And then what we will do is we'll install this. We'll cut a hole in the middle section to where this will fit right in the hole, and that'll give us more resilient for our broadhead. Now you notice there's broadhead been shot into this, so I don't use it that extensively, but because I just use it for solely for my moose practice. And we'll set that in the middle insert, and you'll see as we move along. So I'll get to cutting it out. Just remember, don't saw into the wife's fabric table. She uses this to sew stuff, and you gotta keep making sure that I might have already sawed into it. I'll hear about that later. I want to show you what we got. Now some of you are probably laughing your butts off, but that's all right. There's your moose. It'll give you pretty much what you need. The neck on a moose, this is a little smaller, but if you figure that neck on that moose is about 36 inches from the hump down, and we're 32, and from the back to this belly we're 41. I might trim some of that belly off. That looks sort of like a pregnant bull, so I think I'll just mark that and get some of that beer belly off of it. This is not necessary, but other than it's a little more cosmetic looking. So I just draw that around there. And I'll cut that little bit of fat off. Talk about a diet. How many of you wish you could cut belly fat that fast? I know I wish I could. Anyhow, we can rasp that up. But now we got a little more. Just you want to make it look as real as you can. And there's going to be basically our moose body. Now what we'll do is we'll lay this out on top of the other two pieces and cut the same dimension out. And then, like I said, we're going to come in here. This is going to be the front shoulder. Will come up somewhere in here. We're going to put our vital area right in here, and we'll have to cut that out, that square. And that's pretty simple to do. So stay with us. We'll see how we bring this on. Yeah, it's really simple to line this first one up too. We didn't make a cut here, so this was original. So we just line these up flush with that, and the neck area is flush. So that gives us reference points that we didn't have to make. So when we lay this top one on here, we're in an exact spot. And so when we cut them out, they're going to be pretty close to the exact. Now these rough cuts, I can get a rasp, and if I want to doctor that up, and that, you know, just for aesthetics, not any beneficial. But any lining points here, here, and here, so you know you're square on your sheet. So when you cut all three of them out, they all come out the same. I'm already on a hunting trip. Hunting for myself. Like I told him at Irv Wagner's funeral, guys over 65 spend more time hunting than young guys. It seems like all day long you hunt for something you just had in your hand. Found it. And you see we got 3 identical pieces. We're going to take this middle section and this piece of ethyfoam, styrofoam, it's not styrofoam, it's called ethyfoam. It's 22 by 24. They used to make targets like that. I don't know if you can still find them. But if you found one, it makes it a special vital area. So we'll lay that out, insert that in there. We're going to take a 2x2 for the legs, and we're going to put that up in there. Oh, we'll run that up in that shoulder bone. About 21 inches. 21 inches, that's give or take. And we'll slice this up here so it has an insert that we can plug it in when we put the animal down on top of it. Now, as I was on the board of directors of the IBA, I talked about clubs building homemade targets, and I was basically kicked out the door because they told me, Mealey, targets, stuff like that don't work no more. Well, I went to shoots years ago where men were men, and they built some of the most unique handmade targets there ever was. And if I wanted to spend the time, and I may so do that in the winter, I'll build a moose target that'll put them to shame. Your imagination, as I always say, is your limitation. But if you say you can't do something, then go spend $2,000 or more for a 3D moose target at Reinhardt and enjoy that. But that's, like I say, that's half the price of the moose hunt. When you can do that right in your own garage with minimal cost. Here we just lay this out, pretty simple. We'll cut this section out, then install this section. Okay, we cut that out, we got that marked there. We'll go make our leg insert while we're at it. Make it about that tall. Put that up in there. I want to make sure I got that up there for rigidity. We got that up there. 20 inches will hold that. Yeah, let's just make it 20 inches. 20 inches for sure will hold that. Try to make sure this is square so that when it goes up in there, it's not, that looks pretty close. Now we'll cut this out. Do the same on the back. Make the back leg. There again, we had 20 inches there. And you could actually make the back leg a little, shorter when you put it in the ground, because it seems like the back carries a little lower than the front. And so, there again, give it a good eyeball. Not rocket science, just get it as square as you can. Pull it down a little bit. Now all we gotta do is saw those out, and we're on the way. It's nice to have a helping hand. Your wife, she's just as involved in this as I am. She was the state finger shooter in this state, killed several deer, and she didn't brag about it one iota. There you have that cut out. That's pretty simple. I don't know if it's going to fit. It might be a little, but we can wedge it in there. Oh, wrong way. There we go. Yeah, it's going in there. There's your vital spot. That'll help give more resistance when we put the other pink over. That'll give more resistance to that. You won't see that. We'll make the shoulder area, and that's going to be 3 layers thick plus this in the middle. Simplicity! But you can't buy this at the big box store, and you won't find it on the YouTube channel of some smiley face person is trying to sell you. I'm sharing this information with you for free, so you can do this. Perfect. All you got to do is put the leg in there. It's going to be its front leg. And that'll support that because it'll be covered with 2 more layers. Okay, we brought it outside. Okay, we just start our liquid nails. Get it all around on the outside seams. So we got everything going there. This will bind into that. We won't eat that. Some glues do eat it. You take a trowel real quick. Smurf some of that around. Now we'll get that body part over here with the legs that you did with the legs and the neck. Get that squared up there. Oops, let's bring this down a little bit. Get this nice and glued down around here. Now we're going to go with the final installation. Make sure that's all wiped off. There again. Want to get it down there as quick as you can. Lining up your reference points again. Get this board laid down here without scuffing it up. Can you pick that end up? Okay. This here, move it over here. Okay. This is going to put uniform weight on it. Honda 3000 generator. If you pick one of them up, you know you got some weight. 14 ply tire, more weight, 5 gallons hydraulic fluid, propane, you name it. You want to put weight on there, so that really pushes that down on there. Damage even on there. This next area is sort of elongated. I put this 2-ton jack. Does that mean I'm putting 2 tons on there? Not hardly. Let that cure out in the nice heat of September here in Iowa. That'll cure that out. The best thing to do now is go to Menards and get some legs. It's been close to 4 hours now that we've had it glued down there. And here's what we got. Looks like a huge pink pig. Now we can finish roughing it in. That's 6'6" at the hump. And it's pretty anatomically correct. It could be off a little bit, but not that much. But that's how big the moose body is going to be. The leg's pretty much in the center, the front leg. And you can see we'll have the back tilted. It's not in any shape or form perfect, but with these bone structures and the hump, we're pretty close. So that gives you a pretty good idea where that aiming spot is. We won't have a head on it because that's irrelevant, but we will have something that gives you the general idea of the moose. So we'll paint it up And that's how you make a 3D moose target. We basically got this guy done. We're going to take this rasp and knock off some of the sharp edges. And this is really not necessary, but you know, if you're going to do something, you put a little more into it. It'll give it more integrity and a whole lot more view into it. Now I'm going to use a little duct tape around these lower legs. That's where my post is going in, and I want to make sure I got that joint as strong as I can get it. So we'll wrap it. This is an ounce of prevention's worth of poundage here. That's basically your target. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to paint it. Now we're going to go and spray this of all colors flat black. Flat black, yeah, that's what color moose are. They're black. Actually, it's sort of a gloss black. They're wet, they're really black, glossy. The reason moose are black is they're timber dwellers. You can take a full-size 1,500 pound, 900 pound, whatever pound, and they can walk into that timber and stand still. And with all the shadows in that timber, they automatically disappear. When you shoot one, you have a hard time finding them. Once they fall down on the bush, its floor, they just become almost invisible because they're black and there's so many black holes in that timber. Moose never have to leave the timber. If there's water adequate, they're a wood eater. They're not a browser. They eat, well, I guess they would be a browser in that sense, but their main consumption is wood. They're not a grazer, is what I meant, like an elk. Being black also helps them radiate heat in the wintertime. It gets 40, 50 below zero in those northern areas, and that black hide, as we all know, generates heat. So let's put some black paint on him. By the way, use enamel, not lacquer. If you use lacquer, it'll eat that foam up. Lesson learned right along with you. Make sure you keep your paint going this way and this way. Do not start it. If you do, you'll put too much paint and it distorts that. But go completely across it without stopping. You'll notice those little divots right there. That's why you don't want to start and stop your can. That way you won't burn that material up. Take about probably 2 cans to do both sides. I enjoy doing this for you people as viewers to help you stimulate your knowledge and expertise. Like I say, moose are black. They can hide better. Their coloration gives them thermal heating, basically. And they do not have to leave the boreal forest. They have everything in there to sustain life. So when they come out of that boreal forest and out of that canopy, they're at full alert because now they've ventured out to where they normally don't like to be. Now you're going to see them on calendars in ponds eating aquatic life, and they will do that with it dropping down off their antlers in the summer. But by the time hunting season comes, most of that aquatic life has been froze out or gone. So and if it's a warm day like it is today, they don't like to move in that direct sunlight. They'll move in the dark timber, but you'll have to call them out of that timber at evening. And I found out after 22 years of hunting these animals, I'm no expert. I've been fortunate enough to harvest 6 of these. And it's about a flip of a coin. Whether morning is good. I've shot, I think, 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, evening. And I know other people that shot more in the evening. So it's a flip of a coin whichever you go. But go. And remember, you're going to be intimidated because the boreal forest is like nothing you've ever hunted. You assume there is nothing in there. And if you assume that, then you're set up for failure. The minute you get into the bush, you start hunting until the minute you leave. Well, we're going to make a little shoulder area, hopefully. I'll take a little gray and I'm just going to make a line up there, basically where the shoulder would be. I know where to aim at. If this don't work, we'll cover it up. That'll give us a little definition of shoulder area and flank area. Now we can shadow that up, and that'll give us our aiming spot. And what I think I'm doing when I do it, I'm just going to dust that line out just a little bit. That's enough where it's there, and you can pick it up. And basically, the next time you'll see this, we'll have the legs installed, and it'll be down at the farm in a real life hunting situation. Yep, after doing a little study in this moose book, I noticed these moose do, where they've been in the sun, they do sort of like get sunburn. European moose are more darker, but you get some like up in Alaska where the bush is not as thick and they get exposed in the sun. It does make some of these areas up in here lighter across the back. Now you can see down the side of that moose, it's pretty black, but where it gets basically a sunburn. So what we're going to do in there to make it look more real, and I did learn a little bit there, these tips are a little brown, so we're going to dust in some brown right on its basically spinal column where the direct sun would hit it. What we'll do is sort of dust this in, a little bit of brown hair up here. Not going to make a whole lot of difference other than we just put some brown up there on its mane. Try to make it look over its rump a little bit. Okay, we got the target out here in the bush. We're going to go over a few things. This is why it's really important to build yourself a target. It gives you something real. Here's a rib cage from a 900-pound bull moose. Here's the scapula. You want to stay away from this area. You want to shoot a little farther back. The lungs are back in here. You get too tight to here, you're in a good 100 pounds of flesh. It's going to encapsulate that. The top of this moose target is 6'6". If you shoot it in this hump, forget about it. You're going to be crying in your beer for a long time. Here's the NFAA target face. Put it right in there. Bam! You're taking your moose meat home. Stay away from this front shoulder. But as you can see, as I've collected these bones for you to demonstrate something like this, you've seen us build the target. This is going to be the vital area. Still got a big lung area right in there. You know, so what I'm trying to get across is shoot something real. Now we're going to go out on the other side of the target, and I'm going to show you what happens to a black moose of this size. So let's move around on the other side. As I told you on the onset when we were painting that target black, why? Because most people have an idea that they're brown. Well, they're not all brown. They do have some shades of brown, as I read about. Sun bleaches them out. But most of them that stay in the Boreal Forest up in Canada are really, really black. What you're looking at is a black moose right there at 20 yards. Let's go back to 30. Okay, now we're at 30 yards. Now it really gets even more blended in at 30 yards. The black silhouette of the bush just consumes it. Now one more, let's go back to 40. Now we're at 40 yards. You can definitely see the advantage of being black there now. It's just like it's swallowed up in that bush. And folks, last week I got chastised and bastardized and scrutinized up one side and down the other. There was a high-dollar celebrity on Facebook, and he had a deal with a 20-foot pole stuck up in the air, and he put 1-foot increments on it and how to set your pins into that, which to me is basically it's walking your pins, and anybody that's shot more in a day ought to know how to do that. But this is real practice. This is what you should be doing. And I think I got about $120 in this target. And you've seen us how it made, and if this ain't more beneficial than sticking a pole up in the ground, you can take that pole and stick it up there posterior as far as I'm concerned. 40 yards, if you was walking through the bush and that bull was standing still, you would never see it. Now, let's go back to 50 yards. Okay, now we're at 50 yards. And I'm not an advocate of long-range shooting, but there is a time that you may have to have a follow-up shot. If that occurs, you ought to be able to shoot that at 50 yards and be pretty good. Most of my moose are 20 yards and under. When you're calling them in, it's like calling a tom turkey in. It comes right to that call, bam, it knows right where that call came from. It'll give you an up-close personal shot. The late Jay Massey prided himself. He did not pride himself in long-range shooting. He shot primitive archery from caribou knocked arrows, self-made bows, sickle bar cutter broadheads that he shaped in, hollow reeds. The nature of archery that I want you people to remember that are interested in watching my channel, it's not how far you shoot an animal, it's how close you get into its natural defenses without the use of technology. That if you keep dumbing yourself down with technology, well, you won't even know how to hunt. But that's a bull moose, and if you were walking passively down through here and you're not looking, you wouldn't see him because he's black, just like that. And one that I'm going to shoot this year, when I shoot it, I'll mention how black it was. So let's fling an arrow at that and see if we can get an arrow into its vitals. Problem I see with a lot of you guys practicing, you're shooting field tips. 3D season is over. Live fire. Your selected broadhead. That's what you should be practicing with it now. I don't care how many groups you shoot, how tight a group you shoot with a field tip. That's irrelevant. You did that all fall, or I mean all summer, spring, whatever, to get in shape, get your muscles in tune, and feel good about it. But now it's time to put the broadheads on and get into action. I've worked all day. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. It's possibly around 6 o'clock right now, maybe right in that area. I haven't shot 10 arrows. This is going to be my first arrow. And guess what? I'm not going to stand in that so-posed area aiming like this, because that's not how you hunt anyway. I'm going to be shooting this from my knees. We're at 40 yards. This is if I made a sneak on it and I have to take the shot. I'm going to judge myself on what stamina I have and my accuracy with one shot, because that's what you're going to get in the real deal. You're not going to get to shoot 25 shots and then have the moose come out of the bush. So this is live fire. Let's see what happens. And you notice you don't see its head because it's behind the bush, and you shouldn't be aiming at its head anyway. You should be focusing on that spot that you pick, and it's not, you're not going to range find it or use binoculars to look for a 14 or 13 or some stupid ring that's on a 3D target. This is what's going to put you on target. So here we go. You can laugh at me because this is live fire. I don't care. It's a low, high, indifferent. That's what you're supposed to be doing, folks. Right behind the front leg. Done took it out. It ain't going far. From 5 o'clock, that's 12, 13 hours without putting this bow in my hand, on your knees, boom. That's practice. Some of this bullshit is far from it. But don't get me wrong. If that's all you can do, keep doing it. But remember, get your broadheads on. Come on the back side, I want to show the penetration. You notice it penetrated that, but you know, we're not going to stand here and pound this target for 1,000,000 shots either. We're just going to stalk it, shoot it. I hope this is as real as it gets. But you can do that, like I said, my motto, your imagination's your limitation. I don't get no better, come in right behind that front leg. That took that heart, lower lungs out. That moose don't have a real, they're probably the least, they succumb to death quicker than any animal. They just don't have a lot of staying power. Most moose I shoot probably go down, I've had them go down in 20 yards, 50 yards at the most. But if you get a marginal shot back in the guts, it's going to be a long day. And take these broadheads off when you slide it back out. That'll keep you from tearing up your target. But you did see that we built a target together. We shot it together. We practiced together in real conditions. You've seen the benefit of having being a black animal. And I don't know what else to say other than if you get to go moose hunting, it's a grandiose hunt. And that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian.
Whoa.